Okay. Right, hello. How are you? Cheers. I was watching some Omega Bill there and had my beer open, and so he's finished up early. So I said, sure, I'll join in. Stream a bit. We get some tunes going anyway. And see if we can sort out a couple of little issues we had with this Solus software from the other day. Oh, we can hear it, yeah. There we go. Okay, so where we were last time was we added a couple of extra controls to our configuration. So up here I added a contrast control. Now I did have it in the backlight section and I kind of thought, it kind of makes sense to have all the sliders together, but it just didn't really make sense then when I had it working or when I had it set up. So so I've moved it over here. Now I turned it on its side, but yes, of course the control goes from 0 to 255 in the wrong direction, it would seem. So I'll have to sort that out. But in the meantime, I've done some temperature calibrations, and I think I have some decent values for those of you using TurboFire 1260s. So you can see there on the dial up, or on the screen up here, I've got my CPU core temperature running is about 10 degrees higher than the outside case temperature of the chip, which is yeah, that's about right. So I've redone all my calculations because I think yeah, I made some assumptions on the Motorola paperwork that doesn't really stack up, or that didn't really stack up. So I've redone all my calculations, done some new measurements, and so now I have some new calibration values. They are in here. So now, as it should be really, sensors 1 and 2, because of the way they are, they was designed specifically for these sensors. The multiplier is 1 and the offset is 0, and that just works. So they're nice and accurate there. Sensor 3 is the one inside the 060. So this has a multiplier of 2.91, which is kind of, I've done just a quick slope calculation on this, so it's only a very rough approximation because the sensor in there is not linear, so it's impossible to do a simple, linear conversion, but it's close enough that it'll do over the kind of the range that you want between, like, let's say 30 and 60 degrees. So, and that seems to be working quite well, and I've got an offset of 91, puts it into range. Now I have had to update the firmware for this because of how I do the temperatures internally. It's there's a bit of a rollover there, and it's or an overflow, let's say, and yeah, it was causing crazy numbers, but it seems to be working now, and that'll be hopefully a new firmware release, along with all the other stuff I've been working on in the next week or two. This is Tunnel Vision. Oh, I'm gonna turn my hand around that way. This was yeah, I think I had them a couple of days or a few days ago, my Settler stream, but it's very, very tasty train related beer. So yeah, so first thing I'm going to do is turn that contrast control around. So we're going to go to where that's in Solid Control MUI, and get my thermometer out of the way. Oh, I need a bigger desk. And so we're setting, like, all MUI MUI stuff is basically you define everything with tags. And so we've got a tag for our contrast control here. So I had it reversed because when you're doing a vertical slider, that's how you have to do it. But we're going to change that to 0, and that should stop that from happening and put it back the normal way. Let's give it a go, just make sure. No, we don't want to compile that one. We're going to go over here and compile that one. Oh, I didn't mean to have the debugger on. It'll be fine. open some quality Irish crisps. So here we are. Wrong mouse. And now our contrast control is the right way around. So this is good. 0 to 255. They are the value of the screen accepts, and realistically we found that if you go below about halfway, or well, actually in screen terms it's above halfway, but I'm going to reverse that because to me it makes more sense to do it that way around. Basically it's almost impossible to see, but different screens, different manufacturers are probably going to clone these, and you might find it's good to have the full range available. So that's working. I'm just going to make sure, or that I'm right in saying that it still doesn't have any actual effect on the screen. So I'm going to have a look at fixing that. Nose blowing going on there in the background. Now, okay. So let's just double check that we're sending everything that we should be. So send all settings. If we go down here, we have our LCD configuration. So we are sending the contrast. It's basically the last byte sent after the backlight color blue. So what we'll do is we'll switch over to our firmware code. And received messages are in here somewhere. Down here. LCD config, audio config, yeah, there we go. And then, yeah, contrast is the one after the backlight blue. Byte number is correct. Okay, so we are getting the value. The next thing is, where's our... So we do our LCD initialization once we get new settings. So LCD init is here. Set everything up and then set backlight and set contrast. Now we know the backlight code works, so that's there. Set contrast is the next one. Set contrast. Now, this comment says RGB command. Did we just copy over? Yeah, no, we didn't. We did change the code, so that is definitely the contrast code. And we set the second byte. So 012. Ah, we never send the message. That's what's wrong. So we calculate everything fine, and we sit there and twiddle our thumbs. Excellent. Okay. Do. So build successful. Let's load that up. And it's programmed. Now, switch back to the Amiga. Oh, I didn't keep the settings from what... Oh dear. It's mildly annoying because what's happened here is it's after wiping all my settings by doing the firmware update. Yeah, just I'm doing the firmware update through Programmer, which is a lot quicker than doing it through the software, but does a complete blank of the chip, so you lose all your settings. If you do the update through the software, it doesn't lose your settings. Right. But yes, I need to remember to have the software running so I can read the settings and then write them back. I think that was 28, yeah. Oh, and we decided the event threshold doesn't need to be 100, so I'll set the default to 0. I might even get rid of that box because, yeah, I need to change all these old defaults. Nine one. Oh, damn it. Sensor 2 is, and sensor 3 is CPU 4. Ugh. Some Hoffman on the tunes again. Excellent stuff. So that, let me see, that should be it. And then what we'll do is we'll set strip 1 for idle. We do the same as we did before. So kit, some green, something like that, wasn't it? Always set a level meter for the audio because we have some music running. Might as well. We'll do the level spread. And we'll do it with blue this time. And what level spread does is it's kind of like the level meter, but it spreads from the middle, and it should look something like this. Maybe our audio isn't. That's set down to 80, didn't we? That should be kicking in. Am I missing something? Oh, we did also hold that for 50. Now, why is that not working? It is picking up, so level spread. Oh, now it's doing it. Yeah, that is the effect we should have. Okay, now I'm not sure what needed to happen there. Or it just took a while to get to grips with itself. Turned down the brightness there a bit. Now, back to what I was doing. Okay, so we'll switch on our LCD. That's a SparkFun. What did I say that address was? E4, wasn't it? That's 20 by 4. bring this down to, let's say, 25. No, 25. And we'll turn on the backlight fully. Okay, so now it looks like we've changed our contrast. The camera's not really picking it up. It is definitely fainter than it was. But yeah, the camera's a bit washed out there. So if we turn down the backlight, actually, something like that, ish. Now, yeah, you can just about make it out. It looks fine to me. It looks faded. So if we up it to 255, now we get darker text. Yeah. Yeah, the camera's just not great with that. So, oh, and now it touched the data in line, and we're getting some funky patterns. Anyway, you get the idea. There's a bit of a shine on it. Be grand. Oh yeah. Yes. Let's just move that over there a bit. That's better. No, it's not exactly the same. Surely grand. Fine like that, actually. Okay, so contrast is working. So if we turn this down to there. Now, at the moment, it is at the moment, basically, it's only working by applying the settings. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. So what the next thing I want to do is, but yeah, that's the contrast adjusting fine. That's excellent. So the next thing I want to do is make it so that can be applied separately. So like a live preview to adjust it, you see. So I already have a mechanism in place for the live preview, and that's here, and that basically applies the LED settings. It overrides whatever's there, and it applies the LED settings sort of immediately, so it updates in near real time. Hey Prince Phase, hello, how are you? Welcome along. This is my Solus board. I'm doing a little bit of coding on it to try and get some extra little features working on it. So what I've done is I've done a lot of the work, and I have most of this screen working. So I've just got the contrast working, and now I want to make the controls react real time. So at the moment you can adjust the backlight and you can adjust the contrast, but you have to apply the settings, and that essentially resets the whole display. And so I want to include those controls in the live preview mode, so that you can see the effect they have without going through the whole, you know, and it's only a couple of seconds, but yeah, I think it's been neater to be able to see the effect you have in real time, or the effect the adjustments have in real time. So what I'll do is that we go out of here, well, we'll save those settings to flash anyway. Well, actually we bump up the contrast so that apply, and it's nice and dark, and we apply that, and we go into the code now and just have a look at what's happening. To update these things separately, I think we need a separate command for doing the backlight. Backlight and contrast controls. Sorry, I'm having beer and snacks. So I will. The source constants file holds basically all the constants that define the commands, and so LCD config is there. What we'll do is Need a new name for this. Can I show the board? The board itself? Yeah, sure. So what you're seeing there is, because I've been concentrating on the screen, that's the actual screen there. Now, this is what the board itself looks like. It's buried underneath a load of cables. But, you know, we get that out of the way there altogether. Don't need that. But that's it there. It is buried under a lot of cables, so it's kind of not the prettiest to see, but that is it. We've got some sensors coming off that. We've got the power connection that runs through the floppy thing and it loops back to the floppy drive. A couple of temperature sensors. I've got a little RTC module there because I've got a TurboFire 1260 in it, and there's no real-time clock on that. So so what I have there is this is like a stick-on temperature sensor on the top of the 060, and this cable here is a crumbs and crisps. It's just a cable coming straight off the TurboFire, and there's a sensor inside the 060 that gives you the temperature. It's a little bit funny, but the Solus is able to read that and give you feedback on the screen. Hey Cammy, how are you? So so as well as the sensors and that, I have this little LCD screen attached to the Solus and this LED strip, and so you can see the LED strip is reacting to the music that's playing. Yeah, great, all good here. Enjoying a beer on a Sunday night before I go back to work tomorrow. The board is kind of small and it's a bit fiddly in that way because it it has 21 connectors on it, believe it or not. Because you know, it has all the various features that it has grown over the I suppose the design. It's a funny project, and it's kind of grown all sorts of features left, right, and center. But yeah, so that is it. Yes, a lot of the connectors aren't used for, or are used for various different things. But it can support 2 LED strips, so there's, you know, you can connect the second one. But at the moment, I have it running and reacting to the audio while I work on this LCD, you know, the immediate LCD controls. So what I want to do is introduce a new LCD config command. So basically how it works is this is connected, the Solus is connected to the clock port, and commands are sent from the Solus software on the Amiga side to the Solus board, and then Solus can save the configuration and runs by itself basically. So this LED reaction and the screen, the temperatures, it does that itself. You don't need the Amiga to tell it what temperature things are, for example. But you can also send messages to it to display on the screen, and that, you know, that's quite nice because I want to give it an AREX host. And what'll happen then is you get you'll get your you know, you can just put whatever messages you want up there, be it reminders for something, or, you know, messages to say an email has arrived, or, you know, whatever. That's the plan. Not quite there yet. So so the LCD config is to do with the well, that command at the moment sends everything, so including the backlight settings and contrast settings. But maybe we call it LCD. Let's just call it config to be boring. I can maybe change it later, but anyways. Preview config. So the plan is this command will contain just things like the backlight color and contrast, so that when you have it in real-time mode, you can see the updates as they happen. So we'll save that. We did already save it. And now we have to implement a new command over here. So if we have, let me see. I have a routine here for sending the current settings, which just sends basically your LED preview thing. So I'm just going to tack it onto the end of this. So what we'll do is we'll basically just copy this code again. So preview. So this is sending. This is. Let me see now. It does send it. Set it to preview mode. But yeah, no, that's what we want. We don't need this. That so. We're gonna get rid of that, and then. LCD config 2. That should do it. So send command LCD config 2, and then we will send, and instead of that, we see what settings we need to send. So we have to go to get current settings, So we've got get preview settings. Oh yes, get BL color settings, so backlight color settings. Because the colors, it supports a couple of different color modes like HSL, HSV, and RGB. So the routines for reading the color settings are just slightly awkward because you have to do the calculation, the conversions in between. Internally on Solus, they're always in RGB because the LEDs work in RGB, so it's just easier than doing those conversions on the fly every time you update the lights. So yeah, wasn't bothered with that. So the backlight color settings are there. So this is get current settings or get preview settings. And what does it say? Current options. Does it set current options? No, it doesn't. It sets the LCD options. So I don't know if I want to do that, do I? I suppose I do. Yeah, I'll just read them into the settings for now and let's see how it does. So LCD BL color. And so what we'll do is we'll just so we'll just copy the the portion from send all settings, which sends LCD stuff is down here. Where is it? Oh, is it audio board LCD config? So we've got these 4 here. So we copy them and then we go to send current settings. We get rid of these guys. Oh, balls! Why is that not? Send all settings. So backlight color, contrast, and back to where we were. And that's us with, now it sends 4 bytes, the red, green, blue values and the contrast value for the LCD. So that's LCD config 2 command. And that allows us actually to adjust that independently, so it doesn't, you don't have to go through the whole thing now. Okay, so that. Oh yeah, there's one more thing we need to do, because for preview mode, we need to read the actual inputs when it happens. We need to add an event. So, I do have events set up for them, but I'm going to change my approach here, because what this does is, so I have events set up for all the sliders and they're separate, so I'm going to change them all to just a single event, so they all trigger the same event. Config. So we'll do that for the contrast instead. So config BL slider, whereas our constants are up at the top here. Sem. EV config BL slider. So just in case we want to undo that, we'll leave some space in the numbers there, but we will change that to BL slider. So now the same event will be triggered by all of those sliders, all 4 sliders. And so that's what we want to do now. So back in our main loop, main loop is up here. We'll have a look for that event. Goes up send current settings. So slider speeds, main direction, main pattern. Okay, so we need to stick this in. And what we're going to do is just going to copy this segment here, because this is what it does when you change like the direction or one of the other color things. Well, no, we'll copy this one. I've got some stuff commented out there that we don't need anymore. But let's see. I think we should add this down at the bottom. So, oh, I've already got code here for that. Oh yes, because yeah, no, I do have to have that because it updates the actual MUI thing. Okay, this explains things. This is why I had it like that. So that was right first time. So what we'll do instead is we'll make another one of these. And that means you have to change these back again. So that was red, that was green, that was blue, and this is our contrast. Save that. So our constants are fine now. So we get rid of those two. So I guess we'll just do the same thing, put it in the same routine, because contrast is just one extra reading. It doesn't really, we'll count it as the backlight settings anyway. Okay, none of them have the actual if connected in live preview. That's what we want. So if connected in live preview. Oops, no, put that there. Our apologies if that's a little bit tricky to read. Sometimes the capture card is it's doing an admirable job considering it's connected directly to the native Amiga output, but sometimes because it's an interlaced screen it just skips lines or chops a line halfway through, and so sometimes things are hard to read. But it's all good. Now, so, oh, we need one more for the actual contrast. RGB. RGB. Oh, yes. Sorry, this is the one. This is the contrast one. EV config contrast. That should be it. Now, just need to implement those commands on the firmware side. So we can change the color settings and the contrast settings without resetting the display. So I will switch back to the PC. It looks something like this. And we have to add the same command up at the, that's just LCD config 2, just to keep things consistent. And now this is where our LCD config, just for pig, I'm going to delete that. So we'll copy this. And just make is this what we want? This is where we wanted LCD config. Yeah. Okay, so what happens when we send the config? The first byte is LCD settings dot. Oh, you know what we can just do? We can just copy these. Actually, this entire segment here, and just change the case numbers. So that should be it. So 0 is our red byte, green byte, blue byte, and contrast. Status equals command done. That should be it. Now, once we do that, what we'll do is we go back up and we have another place where we deal with command done, and that is down here somewhere. If command done, status equals command done, there we go. Okay, right, so status equals command done. LCD config 2, and we just make sure it's says enable. So these are the two things we need to do. So temp pages just recalculates the text for the screen, and then LCD init resets the screen, starts from scratch. Hey, how are you? Cheers, school night beers. What's the story? This is probably isn't your usual thing, is it? No, I'm not off tomorrow. I am taking it easy. I will be all very responsible and yeah, bright-eyed and bushy tail tomorrow morning. Don't you worry. But yeah, so this is my little project. I'm not sure how much you know about this, but yeah. So what I'm working on at the moment is updating the settings for this screen, so I can change the settings in real time using the software on the Amiga. So yeah, so nearly there. So I just have to change this to call the right functions down here, and is it set backlight and set? I think that should be it. Set backlight, set contrast. We try and build that now anyway and test it. Nope, of course it didn't work. What did I miss? Duplicate case value. Really? Oh, what have I done? Yeah, config 2. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Case. What am I missing here? Okay, well, am I missing a bracket here or something? Switch LCD config 2. I'll do that. LCD config 2. I have added that, haven't I? LCD config 2. Yes. Yes, forgot the actual constant. Now, yeah, there you go. And I'm having my Irish crisps. Brought over a supply of them at Christmas, because you don't get them in Scotland. Okay, that's built now. Oh yes, now so I'm going to go over to the Amiga and get those settings off the board first. So we run this. Hopefully, no major errors. Oh, errors. EV config contrast. Oh, I didn't add that to the constants up at the top. EV config. Oh, I did, but I missed the underscore. Try again. Yeah. So what this will do, this will read the settings from the board, and that means that when I write the firmware to it and wipe it, I can write the settings straight back to it, and everything should be as it was before. So, so we start writing now, and it sort of paralyzes the board, so our LEDs have stopped moving. So, you can't see the LEDs there. Switch this view. That's it programmed, and now apply the settings. Oh yeah, I was messing with that, wasn't I? Change that to that. But audio level spread, we should be getting our beats and stuff. Why is that not working? Now this, yeah, this happened the last time. I'm not entirely sure. Try apply again. Strip 1 idle. We set that to level spread. And then we went to audio. And that should be red. What am I missing here? Audio. We set that to none. Oh, you silly thing. What have I done? Anyways, right, that wasn't even what we were looking at here. let's look at this. Okay. So now, if all things are going to plan, if we click preview. Okay, preview activates it and preview deactivates it. Okay, so if we do this and we turn the contrast here, it should update straight away. But it's reading, it's not actually picking up the contrast setting. Okay. Right, well, okay, well, we'll fix that in a minute. Let's see if we can change the screen color. Oh, we can. Look at that. Let's go for green screen. Oh, it is green. It is green. It's just it looks more yellow on this on the camera. There we go. Yeah, if you only do it halfway, it looks, you get a better idea of the color. Because yeah, the camera's getting washed out. It's not actually all that bright at all. It looks quite dark to me here. Now the red doesn't seem to be responding now. Why is that not working? So the event for red isn't getting triggered, or isn't triggering the redraw. So we're nearly there. If we come out of live preview mode, and now if you come out of live preview mode, it keeps the setting. Yeah, some little bug there. I'll figure that out now in a second. So what am I missing with the slider red? Oh, I didn't add that line. Of course. So that goes in the red. Let's get rid of this comment here because that confused me the last time. So that should be it working. And now why is get BL call settings? I think we have to add the contrast setting to that. Go to get BL call settings. Config contrast. That should be it. Now, compile, compile. Okay. Now let's have a look at our preview mode. Let's change it to yeah, our audio event, and yeah, so we don't interrupt our LEDs. Now let's go into the config, LCD. Are they the values I saved? I'm not sure they are. Oh yeah, there we go. Now look, contrast, real-time setting it. It gives a little message when you change the contrast. I might try and stop that from happening, or I might. There's a command for switching that off. I might add that. But this is that's it. This is contrast working real time. Yeah, now our red is working as well. So we get a purple, we get a red, yellow, green, cyan, blue. Cool. And we get a white. Excellent, that's working. Now, I'm slightly concerned that it's not reading those values back correctly. So if we apply those settings, that should keep those values. And now we read them back from the board. Reconnect. Read them back fine. Like if I set that now, watch what happens when I reconnect. a red. Oh. No, it hasn't worked. It worked once. So 126, 122, 129. Hey George, how are you? No, and it's only going to be a short enough stream, I think. But yeah, thanks for popping in. Well, you were here the last time. Well, I'm having some beer and snacks, by the way. So yeah. Good stuff. Walker there is working on the SDK for OS4, so there's an update of that coming out, which is exciting news for some people, me included. By the way, it's a niche thing, but it's excellent to hear it's still getting attention. Now, when you were last here, George, I think I had the contrast control over here, but I've moved it here. It just looks nicer here. But now I have it working so that if you have it in preview mode, it will respond in real time. So I can change the contrast on the fly, like that. And so it looks, yeah, but it basically goes more or less invisible at this point. But there you go, and I can change the color of the screen as well. So, you know, you can see real time the effect it has. Yeah, and it's funny that most of the LCD modules don't actually have a software controlled contrast. It's literally changing a potentiometer on the back of the display, which is kind of, you know, clearly not doable. But you know, that's it. You get what you pay for, I think. So the more expensive controls have that. I think the Midas control might have that on the command list. I haven't implemented it yet. I'll have a look at that later. But now there's something funny happening when I try to read back these values. So if I apply these current values, 114, 114, 10, 110, and the contrast is up to the max, and now I read them back from the board. Oh, the width has changed. Oh, and now I'm getting garbage all over the screen. Because it's, of course, it thinks it's 228 characters wide, which is clearly a bad thing. I think. Oh, and there's the 8. Something's happened to my communications here. So I might try and save those settings for now anyway, and reset the board, because I think something funky might be happening on Solus. And it's not responding to a reset. Oh, excellent. Well done. Okay, well, I don't know what happened there. No, this is 20 wide. This is 4. It's the right type of LCD. Let's just apply that and see what happens. Okay, nope, still don't have control of it. Reset the screen now as well. So we've 24. Every other setting seems to be okay. I'll read them back again just to see if they've gone nuts. No, they all read back fine. So, time to pull the plug on the display. Oh no. Yeah. No Power Packer library. Let's get rid of you then. So what we have now is gibberish being written to the screen and some communication glitches, but it was reading back fine, and the board itself seems to be responding. Like, let's see if we put this in preview mode, we should get our green LEDs back. No, no, we didn't. Oh, that is interesting. Right, I'm going to re-flash the firmware on it just to give it a proper reset. And my screen stopped with the gibberish, so it means it was gibberish that we were sending it. Okay. All back to normal. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened there, but oh no, I think I do know what happened. Communications glitch told it was 228 characters wide, so I'm sure it just dumped crap all over the memory, all over the rest of my RAM when it overflowed. Because I've only allocated 80 bytes for the display, because that's the biggest, is 20 by 4. So there's 80 bytes of RAM. There's only 3.5K on the whole Solus. And there's my audio effect kicking in. Now I don't know why that is taking time to take effect, but it did. That's fine. But yeah, so basically I scrambled the Solus RAM by that. I must enforce some checks on that. Just sanity check. Let's read this back a few times. Set that down, read back. Yeah, it's reading back the correct value. Okay, right. But I think now yeah, preview mode is something funny is going on with that now, but with the main modes, because that's supposed to show you whatever's on the display here. So that if I put this in preview mode, it should cancel the audio mode and put it in kit mode. And it's not doing that. But yeah, let's see. Anyways, but if we put it in live preview mode, we can see at least that. Oh, it is. It's just taking its time. It's just taking its time. Okay. But we do have our kit mode working. So all these are working excellently. This is great. Happy days. Okay. Just slow that down a bit, just in case that's upsetting our communications. But cool. I'll save that to flash. So now the change is instant when I tick the box. This is an excellent question. The problem with me is anytime I get close to the goal, I shove the goal further down the line. So you know, this project started out as basically an adapter to run a standard set of LEDs from the floppy power port, and you know, it was literally just going to be a few resistors and some LEDs, and now it's kind of this. You know, it's grown arms and legs. It's grown 150 features since then. I don't know. It is kind of close, to be fair. It is kind of close. As much because I'm almost out of RAM and out of program space on the board, so there's not a lot else I can add to it. But yeah, it's a lot of it is kind of like polishing the features on the board itself now. What I do want to work on next is the more from the userland side, from the Amiga side. don't start. Yeah. Yeah. No, what I want to do now is get the AREX support, and I want to also add there's there are a couple of I2C adapters you can get already for the Amiga, and you know they're on a couple of different things, and there's an I2C.library that has a sort of I suppose a standard and established API for them. And so what I do want to do is basically start to implement that for Solus as well, so you can use the I2C port on this just as you would on a dedicated I2C controller. It will be slower obviously, but sometimes all you want is a sensor or an LCD or something like that, and you know, and to be able to use that as like a general purpose I2C port would be great. So that basically most of the stuff, this is kind of finishing off the hardware end. Most of the stuff then will be on the software end, I think, but the firmware I would say is 95% there. Let's go with that, and then, you know, because of the software is a bit easier to deal with, I suppose. But the intention is to have a commodity that runs, and yeah, gives you an AREX port, and you know, for accessing all the features, so you can read and write stuff. I do have a couple of other features that have been requested for OS 3.2. You can have, you know, you can customize the title bar. And Graham from the Scottish Amiga group has asked me to put in fan and temperature details in the in an n variable, so it can be added to the title bar. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. You know, it was you know, the first yeah, the first 20% was great. Like, you know, I went from nothing to you know, oh, I can make lights turn on, and ever since then it's been still making lights turn on and holding it together basically. I'm not sure if you saw, guys, but this is the prototype. That's what the prototype of Solus looks like. I haven't got the heart to take it apart yet. But that's it. Quite the mess. But yeah, that was how it worked with and that had half the RAM on it. It was a less powerful chip. So I outgrew that chip, and the first version of Solus, the actual board, has like the small version of that chip, and yeah, I ran out of space, so I actually had to move it to a bigger space. yeah, like yeah, like the prototypes. Just keep it like that. Now, has that effect frozen, or is Solus frozen? No, my temperatures are still updating, so I think I'm okay. It's just this mod just maxes out all the channels, I think. So that I think yeah. Where are my audio settings? The range is probably a bit too high or too low. 550. Let's try that. Almost. Oh yeah, we're getting flickering at the end there. 600 should be probably about right for that then. Yeah. It's unusual for a mod to use the full output. Yeah. Yeah, that might happen, or what'll happen is as well, you know, I kind of think, I need some wires. I need a prototype board, and I'll pull it apart for something or other. Now, what else was on my list? So, I think I need to fix that live preview bug that I've just introduced. Get that sorted. No, I don't actually. It works. It just took a long time for the effect to get established. There is a bug I want to look at actually, and I think no, I think that was it. There's another bug where sometimes the current effect flicks away when some other effect takes priority. Like when the reading from the hard drive is triggered. So Let's see if I can trigger it. Of course, it won't. It won't happen now when I'm opening all these folders. Of course, it won't because I removed this cable so we can have a better look at the board. But let's fire it on and have a look and see if we can trigger the bug. And what was happening was it was just dropping out of the audio mode, just you know, and giving it a flicker of the previous mode, or and I think it's being triggered because even if you don't have a pattern assigned to an event, so even if I have, like, I've HDD access, I have it set to none, but sometimes it would trigger. It would still detect HDD access, and in the firmware it would say, okay, that's a change of event, so it falls back to idle just for a single frame, and so you get this bright green flash, and then it comes back to the audio pattern. But I can't trigger it now, so I don't know if I've fixed it by accident or which is, like, you know, it happens. Yeah, I don't know. Right, let's hammer the drive more. Ugh. No, it's not happening. Rock solid. Okay, fine. I'm gonna count that as fixed. Whatever way it happened. Okay, so what was next? I have my list of features and stuff that I take down on my phone. Oh no, that's okay because it was between tracks. I'm going to allow that. So we've got audio event. I think I can count that as done. Detection routine. Well, what else would I like to do on the screen? Separate backlight command is done. Live preview is done. Backlight support is done. LCD brightness, we figured out that the LCD brightness setting is actually just the same as the red setting, so I might see what other screens can support it and go with it, if not, I won't bother. OLED I'm not going to be able to support because I don't have enough room left on the chip for a character generator, unfortunately. Support for other modules. N variables for fan and temp. I might just go ahead with that. So we'll have a look at that, setting an N variable in software. Now, this already has, like, I'm using DOS calls to set the environment variable. Where is it? I'm just going to copy that code. DOS tool types. String, where is it? Because this program will set the set var. There it is. It's not set env, set var. Okay, so I'll copy this, and every time. Oh no, so that wouldn't be. I'm not going to do that in this software. That'll be in the commodity. Oh, there was that glitch. Why is that happening there now? Something I did. annoying now because, yeah. I'll have to have a ponder about that. Okay, so I think that's kind of there's a load of glitching going on now. Because that's a low mod, I suppose, because the audio is quite low. I'm hoping I'm able to fix it because let me see. Did I we'll run this anyway and see if my audio settings got garbled, but I think it might not be possible to do much about this. So I have this set to 50, so it should hold on to the mode even when it's not active, but it is active. You can see the LEDs are hopping there, and it's glitching sometimes before it even gets down to 0. Oh, I think I know what's happening. The level's actually hitting 0 before it's even in the because the source is reaching 0 before the level's actually decayed. So what I'll do is I will try and get it to react to the decay, to the peak value rather than the actual current ADC value. Oh no, let's go back to the Amiga. What's that one? World of Love. What we'll do is we'll pause that, because I think, well, no, we won't. We'll be World of Love. Oh, we've started again. I know that seems to trigger it quite a bit, like there. So what I'll do is I'll try and see if I can base it on the peaks instead. Although maybe it is just falling down to, yeah. Okay, so let's go over to the PC, and our mode is being set here. No, current event here. If level dot, so we'll change it to level dot peak, I think, isn't it? This I really like this environment, the MPLAB ID. This is this Microchip's own PIC development setup, but you know, generally I like it. It's quite nice, but it seems to reach a certain point where it just stops updating some variable names and things like that. So when you add constants and stuff like that, it just doesn't notice. Or when you add fields or change things, it just, and once that happens, it doesn't get fixed. So even though these are old variables, it just sort of reaches a point where it doesn't add any more variables to its checks. So it's giving you all these errors all over the place, but they're actually not errors. They're fine. And my namespace and all that's fine. It's just, yeah, it's just being a dick. Anyways, level.peak, I think that's right, because, you know, it should tell me. Anyway, we'll try and build it. The compiler obviously is the important one. Now, out of beer. Don't know, should I go for another beer or not? Okay, that's built now. Make sure the Amiga is open. Yes, it is. So I will send it over now. Oh, wrong mouse again. And you know, I'm used to yeah, maybe that's right, and I'm completely abusing the chip, which is, you know, which is definitely a possibility. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably doing all sorts of awkward things, but it's kind of, I think it's a known problem with the IDE, and yeah, it's just like some bits of it are really nice. The resource tracking and the simulation stuff that it does is really good. And you know, if I could use GCC or something like that and do it sort of outside this and just create a binary at the command line, but it's not. It doesn't. No, there's a lot of stuff that is kind of like nice to have in this, and so I just kind of like, the compiler will throw up errors when you've got it a field wrong anyway. But yeah, true. But I don't know. Will I go for another beer or not? It's 11 o'clock. Okay, we'll do our programming anyway. Okay, programming. I think using the peak values is probably better because it doesn't really matter what the actual value is. Because if it sits low for long enough, you won't have peaks anyway. But once the peak value is greater than anything, greater than oh yeah, once it's greater than the baseline, it's you're going to get a reaction on the LEDs anyway, and that's what you wanted to do. Okay, so let's go. Let's try and send these settings again, and we go back to that mod that was funky, World of Love. Oh. No glitching. Now, is it going to go back to the proper setting when I pause it? Haha. Yes. Yes, I think that is it. Now, give this another minute or so. See, but we did get lots of glitching with this mod. And now we're not, I think. Yeah. You know what, that calls for a beer. Fuck it. Right, back in a sec. New beer time, and this is Soul Train. Where's the camera? There we go, Soul Train, and behind the text there. So I don't know if you're still with me, a group of Italians, but Kareem is a group of Italians. There you go. Is a colleague of mine, but some of the guys in work on the hybrid team got me some beers there a little while ago for my birthday, which was, you know, so I'm working my way through them. But because I'm a train nerd as well as an Amiga nerd, I'm a photography nerd, I'm a multi nerd. They got me all these beer themed or train themed beers, so I've been working through them for a while, and they're really good, very, very tasty. Anyways, so I'm happy with that now. I wasn't watching it, of course, when I was away, but it does look like using the peak instead of the level. Oh no! Did that just change track? Oh, it did just change track. I'm going to allow that because it changed track. I'm still concerned that it's not holding the way it should. As in, you know, it's not keeping that it's not keeping that setting, which is kind of a shame. Okay, so that is kind of good. Now, what I want to do now is I want to look at the data sheet for some of the other displays. So this is the Sur LCD display, and that is quite a decent display. It works very well. It does work really well. Now that I've mastered it, it's a little bit sensitive. Like, I think the inputs are kind of floating, so if you touch it, you touch some of the pins, you get all these black symbols, and you have to redraw the screen. It's a bit kind of it looks like they haven't got any. It's just they've left the serial inputs floating or something like that. Oh well. But I'm gonna tick that off. I'm gonna provisionally tick that off. That flickering bug. Switch to separate strings for each. No, that's a boring one. I'm not gonna do that. I2C acknowledge. I'm not gonna do that either until I get more involved with the I2C library. Midwan has hinted that he might be interested in looking at writing a library. I might I don't know if that'll come to anything, but you never know. You never know. But at that point I might have to implement acknowledge and negative acknowledge feedback. JTAG support. I'm not sure if that's even going to happen. What else is there? I2C support stream mode. Yeah, no, not now. I've got hundreds and hundreds of points that I've been working through, but yeah, it's actually 95% there. As you say, 5% of the work left to go. It's 90% of the time. But yes, on the point of having beer near an open Amiga, it's way over the other side. It's right beside my my KVM and my monitor and my mic and my expensive PC keyboard instead. All probably easier to replace than the 1200. No, that was it's still giving a bug, but it's dropping almost to 0 there, and it's not dropping out into the previous pattern. Yeah, no, that's not solved. It's just reduced. But I might not. Okay, well let's have a look at our firmware. See if we can see what's going on here. So let me think this through. So we set our events here. So we've got our floppy event, and that can only be activated if the hold counter is 0. Should we put all of these inside the hold counter? Is that how it should work? I know I did that for a reason, and did I do that just to see, basically your event hold counter gets set and then it doesn't, you can't get interrupted, or it shouldn't get interrupted, but I think I left it so that it could be interrupted by a higher priority. So the priorities being floppy at the lowest, and then PCMCIA, then hard drive, and then audio. You know what, my brain is sleepy. I'm going to just see what happens if I put this over the whole lot. And if it works, I'll indent it later. That's tasty. Oh yeah. So did everyone have a good weekend? let's look at the Amiga. Do we have the software open? We do, yes. Program away, program away. I'm not sure if it's best covering my face with the text of the chat or covering the things, because I'm not particularly fond of my face in the chat, but sure. It's fine. Now, let's apply those settings. And let's just make sure things behave how they should. What's going on with that? If we put this in live preview, we get our preview, and then we drop out of it, and it stays there. Now if we pause, we drop back to previous mode, unpause, and we get our effect again. That sometimes there's a pause, or it waits till it, okay, does it drops to 0? But it doesn't look like that's holding the event at all. Board.event hold should be right, because we have it set down here. It's set to 50. We're back to the start. Yeah. Hoffman does some great stuff. What can I do? Why is this not holding? Level. Okay, so let's go back and look at our source code here. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller. So, you know, that's just awkward. Yeah, okay. So, what we have is current. So, if the event has changed, basically, I'm just gonna get some snacks. Salted nuts. Oops. So current event. Okay, so we're starting anyway, basically with the event hold counter being 0. So, and we're in idle mode. So if we're not in preview mode, and we have updated that constant, haven't we? EV preview. We did that the last time. Yeah, EV preview is updated. Current event is not EV preview. So we're not in preview mode. Then we come in here. Have we got no other event going on? Then we check through these. Yeah, no, of course, because the event hold counter will never get refreshed if it's inside that loop. That's why we need that there. Okay, that makes more sense to me now. So what should happen is every time previous event is not equal to EV audio. See, this is what I'm thinking. What if the previous event is the hard drive? Because the event gets set. Yeah. Sorry, what's happened? Yeah, no, I see exactly what to do now. If previous event not even equal to... I think what's happening is this event is getting triggered, even though there's no LED reaction to it. This event is getting triggered. So, because basically because you got hard drive access, and that stops the it should still have event hold counter, but the event is changed then. No, it doesn't really make sense. Previous event is not equal to that. So we do this one so that basically it's only if the previous event wasn't CC0 and HDD LED. Oh, have I done something wrong with the logic here? Alright, let's think about this. So if the previous event isn't equal to so basically if our credit card LED is triggered, we make the current event the credit card LED. So if the previous event wasn't the credit card LED and wasn't the HDD LED, then we extend it. But I think this logic is faulty. I think I've made a mistake here. So not equal to, and then basically that's in brackets. If previous event not equal to the, because it'll never be, that will always be true. Because it'll never be both of them at the same time. Or they'll never trigger at the same time. So they can't and. So one, well, yeah, if this is true and that is false. As in, yeah, if this is true, that will always be false. So this is pointless. What was I trying to do there? Because that's evaluating the whole thing, isn't it? Not equal to the evaluation of that expression. Or is that separate and it's not HDD LED? Because the only other option there, because I'm not comparing anything there, so the only other option or the only other possibility would be knotting a constant, which is obviously going to be false. Oh, it's late in the evening for this. See there, a delay of 50 should be like about 2 seconds, and it's definitely not 2 seconds between one of those glitches and when there's a decent bit of activity on the LEDs. So yeah. So I don't see what is going on here. So I'm gonna stop that because I can't remember why I put that in, but that's faulty logic. It doesn't work, or it doesn't make any sense. If prev events equals or not equal to, okay, but what's happening is, yeah, we don't want to have this then. Okay, it's as simple as that, isn't it? If the level is peaking, we just refresh this counter. It doesn't matter. We don't want all this does is gives it a minimum length of time, and once that minimum's passed, it can drop out. So it kind of doesn't really make sense for the hard drive, does it? Let's build that anyway and see how it looks. But that I think that should probably do it, because what it's doing for here is setting a minimum. And I was just thinking about it all wrong. This is setting a minimum length of time. So once it goes above the minimum length of time, it won't get refreshed. So it only starts the counter at the first instance of being triggered. It is comment your code, folks. Right. So I'm reverse engineering my own shit. Okay, programming or building is done. Do we still have our software open? Yes, we do. Wrong mouse. Yeah, I keep on reaching for the wrong mouse. And it's mad because, George, if you're still here, I use Synergy when I'm using OS4. And so when I'm doing coding on OS4, I use the same mouse. And you just sort of twitch it against the edge of the screen and you move on to OS4. But, yeah, now when I switch over to this, then it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm trying to use the same mouse. I'm like, why isn't it moving? It's it's just how it goes. Oh, did I load that in? Now my main A1200, I have Synergy set up as well. That's my tower, but it's not a good setup for this kind of development, and I'm trying to keep things to sort of a minimum, so I'm not affecting, or, you know, I don't have too much stuff affecting it. So this machine kind of gets the transfers go in and out by compact flash cards, so I don't really have it permanently networked. Yeah, so do I. I have and I have 2 monitors and 2 KVMs, and it's kind of I'm kind of set up with it now, but it does take, whenever I change anything, it takes quite a while to get out of it. And at one point I did have daisy chained KVMs, and they had keyboard shortcuts that could switch. So I could double tap something, and I think it was double tap control and then 1, and double tap control and 2, and that would switch the KVM, which was great. But the second KVM had a different shortcut, so it was like double tap control 2 and then alt 4 or something like that, and it would switch one after the other. And if I got it wrong, I end up, like, you know, quitting programs or something like that. It was a precarious setup, let's say. But oh yeah, there's the from what I've seen of the entries for the Amiga Jam or Amiga Game Jam, there's an incredible standard, isn't it? Okay, let's give this a go. It's like it's not triggering the generation of results there, or the see, internally in Solus it generates like a sort of a pattern and stores that separately, and then it just modifies the pattern based on what's needed for the strip at that particular time. And it's like it's not doing that, and I'll figure that out at some point. But anyways, $16. Oh, stop! You've no idea. I have a whiteboard here with current and potential projects on it, and it's like I've got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things I want to get to. It's amazing how much things can how much time things can take up. Like, you know, even you think, ah, yes, it's only a simple little thing. It's like, no, it's like all these emails, all the stuff that has to be done, all the chasing of people who didn't get back to you, you know, all, yeah, there's an awful lot, like, because I've been on the receiving end of a bit of it for Amiga Ireland, and you kind of like, oh yeah, it's a couple of different things to organize, but yeah, no, like, it's a head wrecker for months. Yeah, it's there's some serious competition as well, because like I said, what I've seen of the entries, they're brilliant. Yeah, well, yeah, and you know, it's a blessing and a curse that Amiga Ireland didn't happen this year, because you know, I got to actually spend a bit more time on Solus and a bit more time at that, or you know, not dealing with that. Oh, lovely. Oh yeah, and then politics gets involved and everything gets 10 times worse. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that at all. Well, hey, you know, 16 is a healthy number, and yeah, no, it's definitely like I say, a gift to the community. There are some excellent titles there. Now, I forget what I was doing now. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be looking for glitches. Excuse me. Oh, there's our hold. Our hold is working. So our audio cuts out, let's say. And we get a pause before we actually switch back to the other pattern. Yes. Okay, that is a definitive tick off that. Yeah, I think if you haven't really. Yeah, no, I think it was the right decision, to be fair, to hold off on Amiga Ireland. We're used to having a pretty good party, and it just wouldn't have been the same. So no, it's fair enough. So we roll on next year, and to be fair, we did put in a lot of work towards the end of the year, and well, you know, basically we put in a lot of work in the last 3 months, let's say, of last year. So all that planning is basically just stuff we're going to do next year. It's fine, because we didn't do it, and so, you know, that'll help for next year, so we can either put in even more stuff for a grand comeback, or, you know, we can like sit back and kind of you know, use 90% of what we planned for this year. But yeah, it's one of those wonderful Amiga things, isn't it? You know, everyone has an opinion and everyone's right. like it's just the politics. It's funny. I think the more niche you get, the more the more of this kind of carry on that you get. You know, the more niche community, the more that you get on. It's quite the niche community that I've been on the fringes of, let's say, the railway preservation community in Ireland, and you know, steam trains and model railways and stuff like that, and you know, kind of a sort of a casual volunteer kind of thing. But you know, there are some hardcore guys in there, and all the fights they have over things, and it's just like, what are you doing? What, you know, why? What? You know, why do you hate this person? What? You know? Yeah, and it's I think as you drill down to niches, you get you know, opinions get more extreme. Or maybe it's just when things are mainstream, there are enough kind of moderate people to make the majority, you know, or to kind of average things out, and the extremities don't get you know, much presence, or much attention. But yeah, absolutely, you know, you could argue this because, you know, they just lack personality, full stop, those communities or those platforms. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna tick that bug off as fixed. I'm gonna look at my list here, and now the end variables, that's gonna go in a separate thing. Switch to separate strings. I think, yeah, that's what it's all about. And if it stops being fun, you kind of, you know, like, what's the point anymore? Go do something else that is fun. I think that's kind of my list for now. I'm trying to remember what else there was. There's a hardware detection routine, and it's kind of, so basically when Solus starts, it does a hardware detection, and you know, will say whether the board is there or not, and or when the Solus control software, this main software that I have here, when that starts up, it looks for Solus on the clock port, and if it doesn't find it, then it kind of sits there idling. But the detection is kind of, it doesn't work very well because well, basically you see the LED strip is being refreshed here. So that happens, and that's extremely critical time-wise. And when that's happening, communications are shut off. So you have to be kind of there's not enough allowance for that, basically. So when you're doing settings and stuff like that, it shuts off the LEDs for a fraction of a second to do the communications, and then starts up again. And if the communications are quick enough, then you don't notice. You know, it's like, you know, it's like doing a 50 hertz scroll or something like that. You know, if you can get your game to do all the logic without running out of time, you get this lovely smooth scrolling. So if you can complete the communications before the LEDs need to be refreshed, then you don't see any glitches, or you don't see any pauses in the LEDs, and that's what it looks like. It's basically pauses for a second. Like if I press save to flash, that actually takes like a half a second or so, but you can see the LEDs pause for half a second. So longer communications things, that happens. Like I'll do it again there, and you can see it's pausing for a second. But longer communication stuff does update things, or it does upset the LEDs, and so, you know, I try to avoid that. But to do the board detection, I've tried to avoid that kind of communication protocol, because if something else, if some other software tries to read from the clock port and, you know, tries to access it, it will just it'll stop the LEDs from working, even if it's not, even if it's only a passive thing. So like another ID or another bit of software trying to ID something else, and I'm not sure whether having immunity to that is worthwhile, or whether you just say don't run software that interferes with it, and you have to try and figure that out. So I might I might see about putting the detection routine in the communications mode so it pauses the LEDs. I might see how much of an impact it has. Or the alternative is to just loosen the tolerance on the board check. Let me see, where is it? Where's triboard? So what we do is we read 15 bytes, and those bytes have to have RGB, CT, or L in them. That string there. And if it does, then it basically means that the board is found. So there are two things that happen. One is that on very tight timing accelerators like the TF1260 and the ACA 1233 and 1221, you get some of the reads turn out to be zero because of I don't know. I'm tempted to say cache stuff, but I'm not sure it is cache. So what I've done here is I've added sort of an extra routine that says basically if you get 5 null reads in a row, then you get an error. So I just have to figure out now whether I want to do the same for if the communications are delayed, you don't get a null read, you get the previous character, and so that it you know, because you've reread the character before it's managed to refresh it. So if I put in here or now, I may have explained this before, but I'm using 16-bit words instead of bytes for a lot of the stuff on the Blitz side of things, because Blitz only does signed variables. So a byte, when you define a byte, it can only go up to 127, which is, it's kind of annoying that you can't unsign something, but you know, you just throw an extra, you know, for this it doesn't really matter because you have to do a 16-bit transfer anyway. So it's an extra byte of memory. Meh. So we read it as a byte, but we allocate it to a word variable. And at the end of the loop, what we'll do is previous byte equals byte. So that, and then we just then we'll check if, so we get an error if the byte was equal to previous byte. Ugh. Oh my god. Don't drink in code, folks. byte equals 0, byte equals previous byte. So we get an error condition if it's either a null read or it's a duplicate byte. And you shouldn't get both of them happening in a string together. So what we'll do is we'll try that now. Well, I found the board anyway, but I think I've bypassed the I think I've bypassed that safety in a previous update just because it was annoying me. Oh, let's see. How is it? What is it? Where's my main loop? So just above here. Okay, oh, connect board. Address if there's a crowbar. If I ever did see one. Yeah, oh dear. Now what it should do is actually search for the board and find it, despite the crummy timing that the TF1260 does. And the fairly hardcore LED updates that it's doing. Let's see. It didn't work. Oh dear. Not connected. Okay, so what didn't it do? What I'm going to do is it gives some useful debug output. I'll run it again. Oh, it did find it. Found the board. Seems to have read the sensors and the settings. Okay, let's see all the settings. Looks like it. Looks like it has pulled all the settings from the board. Okay. I just want to see what my debug output looked like. I missed it. Okay. Now let's see what it does. Okay, now here we can see I nearly got it. I don't know what that is, but it got loads of repeat values. And what that means is the communications are way too slow, or well, let's say way too fast. So connect board, let's go there again. Let's go back to our main loop, because there is a setting for the speed of the checks, short delay, and because I'm running this directly from Blitz, it doesn't pick up the tool types, of course, because they're in the program icon. Now I could compile it to a program and then run the program, but running from the environment has some advantages. I'm going to change that to 3 because 1 is very, very short. And all I'm doing there is setting a default when it doesn't find that tool type in the icon. Found the board. Read the settings quite well. I didn't didn't check what happened with the debug output. So we run it again. Oh, wrong screen. Go back up there. Oh, well, it didn't find it anyway, so it's still having issues. Or GBs. Oh, it nearly found it there. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ah, it got some null reads and repeat digits. CT or L. If we up that to 5, let's see. I didn't actually catch the digits there, but it has connected. So maybe we need to be 5. Try again. Seems to be reliable finding the board there. Three out of 3. No. What did it look like? Okay, B, C, D. We missed the ore. And then we get like 40 or so. Oh yeah, no, this is yeah, I've been looking at these and saying, oh yeah, getting lots of repeats. But this is because there's nothing on those clock ports. So Solus has its own clock port splitter. And so what's happening is it tries all the different clock port addresses, but it tries DHC 000 or 001 should be first, because that's kind of the default for Solus, and it's internally it uses that. Now, I've just noticed something here, that on the last run, it's after reading the fan speed, or changing the fan speed, which was set to manual, or should have been set to manual. But what's the story with this now? Okay. Yeah, that's an unreliable detection method. Pretty unreliable. Just let's see if 10 works better. This is going to make communications quite slow. Still didn't work. That's lots of null reads. Okay, we need to increase our tolerance for null reads. Which is in Triboard, isn't it? Triboard. Okay, well let's say let's give it a tolerance of 10 characters. No, what does that look like? That was more than 10 null characters. Oh dear. Oof. 20. Am I missing something here? I've completely changed the logic, haven't I? That was supposed to be if byte is true. So like I said before, don't trick in code, folks. Okay, well, at least it was quicker. So, I have 2 C's and 2 R's. Does that mean that I got 20 of each? I mean, maybe it does. This feels like it's not even trying. I'll fix these anyway while I'm here. Even though it's purely for my own benefit. Or purely for, yeah, my own OCD-ness. Save that. Hey, cheers, Kareem. No, I'll be calling a halt to it now pretty soon as well. But yeah, thanks for dropping in and joining the nerdiness. I think at some point I'll be doing some, you know, some Amiga games, so some retro games and hopefully some slightly more obscure ones. But yeah, sure, we'll see you again the next time, or I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good luck. Yeah, will do. Good night. Good night. So, I'm not seeing why that's returning so quickly. Do I still have... because short delay is quite long there. So try board is calling cycle delay, which is where short delay comes into it. So it's getting and not connected very quickly. What am I missing here? It's trying too quickly. That feels too fast. So take a peek at the address. So if the byte is equal, so if we get a value and it's not the same as the previous byte, oh, hold on. If we get byte is not equal. If we get a 0, what happens? The previous byte should be 0 then, and that would trigger the error. Previous byte 0. Byte is 0. So if byte is unequal to 0 and byte unequal to previous byte, we add our character to our string and we give a cycle delay. We're not given a cycle delay when we get an error. Jesus. There's like so many problems. Just gone, maybe. Boom, detected. Very slow at reading the settings because I've got the delay cranked up right to the top. Now, here's the thing, fan settings are a bit funny. Set the fan to maximum, you know, as I showed on my screen. Although, yes, it's a while since I've actually checked it, but it does seem to be reading correctly. Every time the screen refreshes, it gives you the right value. Good. Okay. Oh. Yeah, oh yeah, it slowed down for a while because the communications are so slow. So let's ramp the communication speed back up to where it was and see if it was just my shitty programming that has been causing this. So our default delay was set to 1. I've ramped it up to 10, slowing things down by a factor of 10. Try 3. Found the board, read the settings. Ooh, getting slight errors in the transfer. Although I haven't checked him in a while, so I don't know if that happened earlier or not. Let's try and reread them. It's tricky because I don't know if that happened because I don't know if that's happened because of a previous. Oh no, it's read them back fine. Okay, that was a reading glitch. So I think 3 is just pushing it slightly. Let's say 5. Again, this setting is kind of a fudge factor for very sensitive setups like this. So it's a TF1260, and to get the maximum out of the chip RAM access, it is really, really tight on timings. And very fussy. Fan speed up to 100. Why? Let's see, by clicking apply settings, I've applied whatever shitty settings were in here. Zeros. Okay, I'm going to reset the board. To get my old settings back. And they've read back fine. So, so we apply. It's very slow, but read them back. No, it's made a balls of my PID settings now. Back to normal. Fan speeds arseways. It says it's definitely on the read that is messing up and not on the write. It's kind of odd because I had faster timing set when I bypassed the hardware check, and that was working fine. All these settings look fine. I'm using this as kind of a litmus test because these strings are probably the most awkward transfers that I do. Like they're transferred in one block. It's kind of like, it's more bytes than any other transfer that I do. But it's just annoying that it was working much faster. Well, what first thing I'll do as well is switch off the debug mode, because that actually messes with timing a bit because it's output into the console, and that kind of causes problems. So what was I doing? No, main loop. Huh. Okay. I had it at 1, which is like basically unbelievable. Really? Finds it fine. Reads the settings fine. That's Oh, fan speed. It's bizarre. I won't set in settings just yet. Let's see. Those settings are fine. Strings are fine. Mad. Communications are super quick. Now let's try and read these settings back. It's been okay. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. See, I'm not using interrupts for any of the reading or writing, and maybe I should. But that ship has sailed because I don't have the interrupt line connected on the board itself. So you know, it's not an option at this point. But even still, interrupts only work one way. I don't know, it seems to be working fine now. I don't know what the difference is. Reading fine. I think maybe debug mode is causing hassle. But anyways, right. I think I will leave it there. I have that display working really well. Or when I say really well, I mean like doing what it's supposed to. And yeah, I think I'll leave it there for the night. Time to go to bed and yeah, set myself up for the day job tomorrow. Right. Listen, thanks very much for joining me. Been a fun chat, been a fun couple of beers and snacks, and yeah. I'm gonna save this. It's already saved. Let's get out of here. No worries. Thanks very much. Thanks for joining me, keeping me company. Maybe save me sitting here talking to myself. Okay, right. Good night. Take care.